Welcome to my channel and I'm Summary. In this video, I am gonna tell you about an otaku who got a girl in game and married her in real life. Our narrative begins in a Legendary Age online game where Nishimura, a high school student, is being proposed to by Eiko, a guild member. He accepts her game marriage proposal despite his doubts about her gender. In actuality, in the game, Nishimura once made a confession to a girl, but she turned him down and admitted that she was actually a middle-aged man. He was devastated by this, and he promised never to trust a girl online. However, after playing by himself for some time and doing some soul-searching, he realized that what happens in the game stays in the game, so it no longer matters to him. He also realized that his real life and his life in the game were two completely separate things. Regardless of whether a character in the game is a girl or not, Nishimura enjoys spending time with Eiko and the rest of his guild. Despite the fact that Eiko is a terrible healer and people continue to die as a result of her errors, Eiko, on the other hand, adores Nishimura for his patience with her. After getting out of the dungeon, Eiko questions Nishimura about why he finally accepted her marriage proposal after repeatedly rejecting her. He says he doesn't care if she's a girl or not, however, she insists that she is a real girl. No one believes the guild master when he claims to be a real girl. As a result, the guild master decides to meet them in person. Additionally, Japan probably hasn't heard of To Catch a Predator. Therefore, everyone agrees to meet the following day. While he waits for everyone else to arrive, Nishimura clearly shows signs of anxiety. He gets a sudden sense of someone pulling at his shirt. He sees a pretty girl who turns out to be Acho when he turns around. She gives him a warm embrace and refers to him as Russian, his game name. The fact that Nishimura's virtual wife is actually a real girl rather than a middle-aged man shocks him. Shortly after the guild master arrives, it turns out that she is also a real girl named Kyo, and she is also president of the student council. It turns out that his other guildmate is also a girl named Lakuni. She is also Nishimura's classmate, and despite the fact that she is also an otaku in secret, she always makes fun of him at school for being an otaku. Even though they are only married in the game, Eiko appears to believe that Nishimura is her husband in real life. They then go to a cafe, where they formally introduce their real selves and share their common dislike for normies with Acho cleaner to Nishimura. He seems to be the most social person in the group, which makes Cho go a little crazy because she doesn't like people who have a social life. But how can he reassure her that she doesn't really have a social life and doesn't even want a boyfriend because she wouldn't have as much time to play games? At the conclusion of their gathering, Achin and Nishimura agreed to keep their real lives separate from their game lives and to continue acting like strangers at school. Nishimura apologizes to his guild mates for assuming that they were all guys. They forgive him and look forward to seeing each other at school. Achin is an otaku and doesn't want anyone to know it. Her reputation and social life would be completely destroyed otherwise. Nishimura joined the server that night to play a Legendary Age. He begins to imagine his guildmates as female counterparts in real life. The following day, Eiko visits Nishimura in class and casually refers to him by his online username. She then proudly declares that she is Nishimura's wife, which greatly confuses the other students. They try several ways to explain that their school and game lives are supposed to be separate, but Eiko simply does not understand and interprets this as them not wanting to be Nishimura's friend. Later that day, they realize that Eiko just can't tell real life from her endgame. Kyo organizes an online gaming club and recruits Nishimura Achin. Eiko Balcony initially refuses to join because she doesn't want her reputation to be harmed, but she changes her mind after being tempted by the powerful gaming rigs that Kyo has provided club members with. The club's goal is to help Eiko confront reality and comprehend that her endgame life and real life are very different from one another. Later that day, Nishimura unexpectedly meets Neko, the middle-aged man who had previously rejected him may participate in the game. Even though Nishimura rejected Neko, he is pleased to see that she is still playing the game, and he tells her that it was actually a good experience for him. When the club gets together to play a legendary game the following day after school, Nishimura looks at Argus's gear and notices that she has bad stats and bad gear. Just because it makes her character look cuter. She is upset because she doesn't like the flame-resistant rope they force her to wear. Even worse, Acho is unfamiliar with the computer's settings, so she does not even know which buttons to press to cast heals. In order to prevent the destruction of their entire guild, Nishimura is compelled to play both his and her characters. After they've finished playing, Nishimura, who is obviously exhausted, tells them that the club may be dissolved if they don't find a faculty advisor to oversee their activities. Nishimura logs into the legendary age that night and asks Nico for advice. Eiko follows him in the game, and the next day, Ms. Yui reveals that Eiko has stopped coming to school once more. Acho replies when the guild confronts her in-game that she was busy preparing for an offline meeting with a mysterious stranger of legendary age. The club clearly opposes this, but before they can convince her otherwise, she logs out of the game. As a result, Lakuni and Kyo discover the meeting location and time and confront Nishimura to stop Eiko. He admits that he has developed feelings for her outside of the game because he spent time with the real Eiko and he doesn't want to lose her to a random stranger. He rushes to the meeting place and gets there in time to confront Eiko, but the stranger does not appear to have arrived yet. When their teacher, Ms. Yui, suddenly appears, she is shocked to hear Eiko refer to Nishimura by his endgame username. That's when Nishimura realizes that Ms. Yui is actually Nico Hima, the supposedly middle-aged man who rejected him. Eiko had planned to meet with Nico He-man in person so that she could confront her and tell her to stay away from her husband. Acho had done everything she could to create an anti-social barrier around herself, but her classmates are now breaking through that barrier and gossiping with her about her relationship with Nishimura. Which is very overwhelming for an introvert like her. Aka Annie's friend Nanako walks inside the club room. Achane becomes distressed as well when Nanako asks her about the club and why she's there frequently. She tries to cover herself and is left in when Nishimura and Acho meet a new player named Set. Nishimura helps her get started in the game. This makes Arcus jealous the next day when the guild is getting ready for a new quest. Set-A finds Nishimura once more. He tells the guild that Set-A is a new player. As a result, Achan offers to help her get better, but she slyly declines, claiming that all she wants is to be tutored by Arusha. Naturally, this makes Eiko even more envious. The following day at school, Eiko suggests that the club play a different game because she doesn't want them to run into trouble again. She then looks for a new game to play and comes across an FPS called Ultra Force. Acho's phenomenal performance at the game surprises the club, which agrees to play. After playing Ultra Force all night, she uses her hatred of normies to snipe targets with exceptional skill, picturing her foes as normies. Nanako is rocking back and forth, mumbling to herself about how her high school days are over, as Nishimura and the others quickly noticed. Meanwhile, Nanako makes fun of Eiko by clinging to Nishimura. This causes Eiko to become enraged and run away. Later, Nanako makes an apology to Nishimura and makes it clear that she has no romantic interest in him at all. In the real world, there were no signs of communication with Eiko. When Nishimura decides to talk to her in the game, she tells him that she wants to quit school and concentrate solely on playing Legendary Age so that she can level up to the maximum level and reincarnate as a different character. She is so committed to achieving her new objective that she even blocks the endgame chat, requiring Nishimura to bring Eiko back on his own. He skipped school the following day and went to Argus's house. There, he met her mother, who was surprised to learn that Nishimura is a Russian Arcus online husband. She gave him her blessing and gave him the key to Argus's bedroom. He opens her door and informs Cho that he is entering the house with her without her consent. She panics and tells him she isn't ready yet, but Nishimura opens the door anyway to find Ako changing in her underwear. He nervously closes the door behind him so Otto can get dressed in privacy. Acho admits that she finds it more comfortable to play in her underwear. Once she is prepared, she tells Nishimura that he can enter the room, but when he does, he finds Eiko completely naked. Before he closes the door again, she asks him to be gentle with her. Eiko and Nishimura spend the entire day playing the game together, maxing out her character after resolving their disagreements. He even stays overnight at her house, where they play until the morning. Being able to empathize with her struggles to comprehend and accept reality, and comprehending how she truly feels, Eiko is persuaded by Nishimura to return to school, and she promises to return if she ever becomes overwhelmed. He'll return to her residence so they can play all day. Nishimura realizes after some time that he doesn't just want to marry Eiko in the game. He also wants to have a normal boyfriend-girlfriend relationship with her outside of the game, but he can't seem to tell Eiko about his real feelings. Nishimura talks openly with Achan and Kyo about how to tell Eiko about his real feelings in the real world, but neither of them has ever been in a real love relationship, so they can't give him any advice. Despite this, they continue to assist Nishimura in coming up with ways to confess the following day. After school, Nisha, Mora, and Acho take a stroll together and stop at a nearby park. Bravely admits to Eiko his feelings for her and asks her to be his girlfriend, but she rejects him right away, just like Kyo and Achan did. They dance silly to cheer Nishimura Achan up, who then calls Eiko and confronts her about the rejection. Eiko explains that going from wife to girlfriend is a demotion, so why would she agree to that? Nishimura-chan is distraught. Although Nishimura is relieved that Eiko still adores him, he is still unsure of how to convince Eiko to accept the real Nishimura instead of his virtual persona. In the course of their summer break, the group decides to hang out at Kiel's villa together. They intend to make the most of this opportunity to assist Eiko in disconnecting from the world of the internet and connecting with Nishimura in the real world. After spending a few hours on Kiel's exclusive beach, he becomes enraged that the group isn't making the most of their youth and instructs them to continue touching grass for the remainder of the day because the group already wants to return inside to play games at Mizu. Po sets up a special line of fireworks at night to set the mood for Nishimura's confession to Acho. On the villa steps, Nishimura declares his love for Acho. Mishimura is discouraged by the fact that Acho continues to view them as husband and wife, despite her claims that she also loves him and is thrilled to be his wife. Kyo decides to book a second vacation at a luxurious hotel that is partnering with the legendary Age to host a promotional event because he thinks the first trip was a failure. The majority of the day is spent by the group completing hotel-based quests that reward players with exclusive items. Nishimura goes back to his hotel room around midday and starts playing Legendary Age with Eiko. She then invites Nishimura to her room in the game. Nishimura suddenly becomes logged out of his Legendary Age account, and after failing to log back in multiple times, he realizes that a hacker has taken over his account and is currently chatting with Eiko. He rushes to her hotel room and warns Eiko of the imposter posing as him on his account, but it appears that Eiko was able to realize that she was talking to an imposter and not the real regime. Nishimura suggests that they should engage, and Nishimura examines the couple's chat box, where the hacked Russian made extremely sexually explicit advances to Eiko. She apologizes to Nishimura for briefly mistaking the hacked Russian for the real one. However, Nishimura reassures her that she is the one who has been harmed in this incident and that it was his error that caused it, and the other people came by to assess the damage to Nishimura's account. His character routine has been deleted, even though he has gained access to his account once more. While Eiko mourns Nishimura's disappearance, the group decides to do whatever they can to at least assist in her recovery. While Nico may seek assistance from her own guildmates, Kyo and Nishimura come across Brenton, a merchant who is selling ruffians' items at ridiculously high prices. They provide Rotten's information to administrators. However, they are unable to demonstrate that Ronin hacked Nishimura because Rotten's IP address is incompatible with Nishimura's. In the meantime, members of the Nico Humans Guild were successful in recovering the ruffian's wedding ring. Later, Nishimura and his guildmates receive the URL of a hacking blog run by an experienced hacker and con artist who recently boasted about the hack of Nishimura's account. Mishimura devises a plan to catch the hacker, and everyone except Acho works tirelessly for the next 3 days to implement his plan. When Walko goes to Nishimura's house to check on him, she gives him a delicious bento that she made herself. As they talk, she learns that the game has also changed their marriage after Nishimura's account was deleted, which surprises her when Nishimura's plan is revealed the next day. They had created a fictitious blog about hacking and enticed the hacker to that site, where they could obtain a copy of his actual IP address and send it to the administrators. The fact that the administrators removed the hacker and his numerous other accounts and then personally restored Nishimura's regular character seems rather unbelievable to me. But regardless, once Nishimura logs back into his account, he and Cho get married once more in-game, with all of their online friends, including their guild and Nico. Thank you so much for watching. This concludes the anime, and I hope to see you all once more in the following video, so please subscribe the channel.